Come, Janice.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Janice, and today I'm going to discuss the reason why Naomi Osaka was capable for being the most influential people due to her standing up for racial inequalities and fighting against social injustice. So this is my outline today. So first, I will cut into her background, and I will go right into the main discussion, and I'll end the presentation with conclusion. So to start with, although it might not be obvious that Osaka's appearance shows like an Asian people, however, she is a Japanese. Her father is Haitian and her mother is Japanese. When Osaka was 3 years old, her family moved from Japan to New York to live with her father's parents. So Naomi's father started coaching her tennis when she was young. And what's surprising is that her father did not have any tennis experience, but was inspired by William's sisters. The family later moved to Florida for training opportunities, and her father still follows his daughter's training and matches closely. Beyond people's expectation, Naomi identifies as Black and Asian, but despite growing up in the US for a portion of her life, she does not identify herself as an American. Osaka has always played she has always played under the Japanese flag, representing Japan in the game, which was a decision her father pushed for. He believed the Japan Tennis Association would offer more support than the U.S. And she even bypassed junior competition to turn professional in 2013, just before turning 16 years old. And she soon received support from the Japanese Tennis Association. Her first big breakthrough happened when she qualified for the Women's Tennis Association Tour Champion in 2014. So in 2014, she defeated the former US Open champion, Samantha, and 2 years later, when she was 18, she reached her first WTA final to enter the top 50 of the WTA rankings. And another 2 years more later, she defeated a 23-time Grand Slam champion to become the first Japanese and also the first Asian player to win a Grand Slam single title. In 2020, when she was 22 years old, she became the first tennis player to light the Olympic cauldron during the opening ceremony. And today, she's the only third person in history to have won all 4 of first Grand Slam finals, winning the US Open and Australian Open twice. Last but not least, Osaka is one of the world's most marketable athletes, having been ranked 8th among all athletes in endorsement income in 2020. She was also the highest earning female athlete of all time by annual income that year. As you can see, she earned an estimated 16 million in endorsement alone in 2019, which placed her second among female athletes. And the following year, in 2020, she became the highest paid female athlete of all time, having earned 37.4 million in total. And now I'm going to have main discussion. Along with her success in tennis, it is her activism that have helped her expand her sphere of influence, but not her profession in tennis. Osaka has gained significant recognition as an activist, having showcased support for the Black Lives Matter movement in conjunction with her matches. So, for the 2020 US Open game, Osaka had wore 7 masks on 7 matches that displayed the 7 names of those African Americans who were killed by the police shooting. In addition, prior to this act of activism, Osaka had also traveled to Minnesota to attend the protests of the murder of George Floyd. She outlined her personal reason for supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and protesting against police brutality in an international magazine. In March 2021, Osaka spoke out against anti-Asian hate crimes. So she had even post a post on Twitter, which is said that if people loved Asian people as much as they love bubble tea, anime, mochi, sushi, and mocha, etc., imagine profiting and enjoying things that come from a culture and then attacking, diminishing the ethnic group that created it. In the wake of the victim's death, she flew to join the protest, speaking up and fighting racism. And once she has said, "When I came back to Los Angeles, I signed petitions, I protested, and I donated, like many of us. But I kept asking myself, what can I do to make this world a better place for my children?" So she decided it was time to speak up about systemic racism and police brutality. Just last year, in 2021, she withdrew from the Western and Southern Open semifinals to protest against police brutality. And this decision that make the tournament organizers to stand in solidarity with her by canceling the place for an entire day. So now I'm going to cutting to my conclusion. Being not racist is not enough. We have to be anti-racist, said by Osaka. And this is one of the sentences she has said I really appreciate. We all have the capacity to make a difference, but sometimes someone's sphere of influence is so great, and it's so great that they can change a culture, change a society, change a whole world. And Naomi Osaka has the power to do that. We all have to credit Osaka for standing up for racial inequalities and fighting against social injustice. So I think that's the reason why she was chosen to being the 100 the most influential people. So actually, she was honored the 100 most influential people in 2019 and both 2019 and 2020. So I think that's the reason why she was she worth it. Yes. So, thank you for listening.
Right, so thank you very much. Yeah, I think I really appreciate that you discussed not only her achievement as an athlete, but also her contribution to this Asian hate campaign. Very good. So can we also have a few questions and comments? Yes.
Hi, I'm Janice, and I'm wondering, do you think she really deserves this title? because her mental is so weakness, just like MBS Kyrie Irving.
I think she, what I just mentioned is a small part of her action. She actually She actually did a lot to stand out and speaking up those um, for those people who are being badly in racist. So and discrimination. So I think what she had done is more is much more than I just introduced in this presentation. So I think she still had worth this title.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for the question. Yeah, I think it's true. I think we know. I think she recently suffered some mental breakdown, right? I think due to maybe some criticism against her online. Okay, good. So we can maybe still have maybe one or two more questions or comments. Yes, Danny.
And when you find the data about Onami Osaka and which part of her or personality about her and make you impressed the most? And because I know she didn't get good grade on Tokyo Olympics, but so many Japanese criticized at her behavior. But the Time 100 still select her for the most influential people in 2021. And so, which part of her?
Yes. I think I really appreciate and value her brave for having the courage to stand out and speak in the public. And also, I think the reason why Japanese will criticize her is it's not mainly because she didn't do well on the Olympic in last year. I think the main reason for Japanese to like really don't really like her is because she is not a totally Japanese. Like her, he had other countries. Like her father is not Japanese, and she was not growing up in Japan. She's growing up in other country far away from Japan in the U.S. and she came back to Japan just few years ago, and people, Japanese people would have said that she had just she cannot really represent Japanese to attend those matches. So I think that's the main reason why Japanese people will criticize her. And I think though she didn't do well on the Olympic Games, it's just another small point to highlight her, to highlight people's dislike to her. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. I think it's a good question. I think so. Again, I think Janice did a good job. I think you really demonstrate sufficient knowledge about the topic. Yeah, so thank you for the answers. I know it's been running late, but let's give Janice a very big hand. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is what we will do now. I think